We welcome you to ACC Network Basketball presented by Food Lion, and we are literally just underway. Boston College taking on the defending champion NC State Wolfpack. Pam Ward along with LaChina Robinson, the Wolfpack, the ACC champs from last year, playing their first ACC game of the season. This year coming in at 5-0 under Wes Moore. And Wes Moore has done some terrific things, was so good at Tennessee, Chattanooga, winning a lot of Southern Conference championships, and finally got NC State its first ACC tournament championship since 1991 last March. And good news for State, Kai Crutchfield back in the lineup after missing the last 2 games with a leg injury.
Yes, an important addition back into the NC State lineup is Kai Crutchfield. She brings senior experience. She helps them to spread the floor with a 3-point shot, because we expect to see some zone from Boston College today.
Yeah, and not just some zone, but different variations of zones. As you take a look at the starting lineup for BC, number 13 in the middle, Taylor Soule, indeed the heart and soul of this team, with a lot on her shoulders. Pam Ward along with LaChina Robinson, who played her college ball at Wake Forest, and already Elisa Cunane has herself a block. NC State has won 7 straight games in this series, including 2 of them last year. But what a year Joanna Burnaby-McNamee had last year in her second season. She was the ACC Coach of the Year. They set all sorts of records as far as wins in the ACC, and she certainly has this program back on track.
They were the best scoring team in the ACC last season, and you could just see her group developed in terms of their identity, their togetherness, and they were on a tear on the backside of their ACC slate last season. Now, she did lose Emma Guy, Georgia Pinot, Taylor Ortleb, but this is a very talented Boston College team, especially when they're hitting threes, and that's a nice pass on the inside for NC State to get Elisa Cunane going.
And that's one of the concerns for BC. Elisa Cunane at 6'5". BC undersized in most positions. Outside shot, BC has to get hot from the outside, but Cameron Swartz, the Colorado transfer, misses her first shot. Ball stays with State after Brown-Turner misses.
Elisa Cunane is coming off a strong performance against Elon, and right here, good ball movement and good Cunane movement. You know, when she is really using the entire space in the paint to get position, that is when she's at her best, making herself big and available for the catch.
And you saw her numbers, 22 points, 13 rebounds, her first double-double of the season. And there's a travel. Ball goes back over to Boston College. Kayla Jones took some steps. She is the reigning player of the week in the ACC and has been a very important component, especially with Crutchfield out, and Jada Boyd still is out with that hurt meniscus. Probably at least another 10 days away, perhaps, before we see her for State, but they haven't missed a beat off to this 5-0 start.
BC will run a lot of motion offense, pass and cut. They want looks at the 3, but they also want to get Taylor Soule some touches. Number 13, we mentioned her a moment ago, the ACC's most improved player from last year, now a junior and carrying high expectations. She comes in with national accolades for preseason player of the year as well as preseason All-ACC. She's an athlete, she's extended her range, and Boston College will have to get her involved often on the offensive end.
And there's Clara Ford being called for the personal foul, trying to defend Elisa Cunane down low. Taylor Soule, the most improved player, and right before the game, she got the hardware.
Very deserving. We're looking at a young woman who from freshman to junior year has just added to her game. It started with her footwork, and then it was just improving her overall IQ for the game. But you see the athleticism there on the block. She can go with the best of them.
And then Schwartz does a good job to draw the charge. Might be a little shaken up, but Taylor Soule right on cue with the nice block underneath.
Taylor Soule is only 5'11", but you wouldn't know it. The way that she can defend around the rim and rebound, saves the possession. And you mentioned Swartz gets in on it as well. This is a Boston College team that has not played their best, you know, in particular shooting the basketball. If they could get Swartz and Gerard in particular going from long range, look out.
Foul was on Elisa Cunane, her first. That rains through for Michaela Dickens, the junior from Virginia Beach.
And if NC State's going to go under screens, Dickens will have to make them pay. She's shooting 48% from three-point range.
And then outside, Jones a little bit too strong. Soule gets the rebound for BC as they look to push it up court. And it's banked in.
And that is one of the keys to this game for Boston College, is to push pace, use their quickness. They may not be as big as NC State, but they don't want to play in the half court with the size that State has. They have to speed this game up, make it fast, and try to kick for threes if they can't get to the rim.
So far, so good. Off the Crutchfield miss, there's Soule being guarded by Kayla Jones, and a long three that is put in. So that's a couple right now for Dickens. Boston College is coming off just, how should we put this nicely? A butt kicking. 86-68. Georgia Tech just came out and blew them off the court in Atlanta, shooting 61% in the first half. And now taking on this defending champion, ACC champ, and right down the guts for Jakia Brown-Turner.
Nice take by Brown-Turner, and nice job of Canane cutting off the defense, not allowing the help to get over to contest.
That three is off the mark by Dickens, who has a couple of them so far. BC up by 4, and what has been a really good pace in this game.
Nice coverage there by Swartz to help on Canane on the pick and pop, and that's what you will see from Boston College. They will leave to go help on Elisa Canane.
Once again with the green light with the miss, with the rebound chased down. Second chance, taking advantage of another three.
And that's Gerard. She's a player that's 1 for 11 from three-point range in her last 3 games, but she's a capable shooter, shot it at 38% from behind the arc last year. They need her to spread the floor.
NC State not getting a lot of second chances, and look at, boy, BC, a golden opportunity for Dickens. Missed the layup, but Dickens has done some things with threes.
Yes, this is a Boston College team that can get it going from long range. Michaela Dickens feeling it early.
ACC Network Women's Basketball is presented by Food Lion. This is our home, that's our Food Lion. Doug Flutie, one of the most iconic plays in all of sports, certainly in BC history, the 1984 Hail Mary pass, and Doug is sort of in the building at the Conte Forum, one of the cutouts looking on, and one of the all-time greats at BC. That was 36 years ago. And Doug would be proud that Boston College, they've been throwing up some long-range stuff that's been going in. The 11-4 lead, the 7-point deficit, the largest deficit that NC State has faced all season.
Well, the Wolfpack have 4 turnovers, and that's got to be a concern for Wes Moore. And one thing he talked to us about, Pam, was the slow starts by his team this season, and he wanted them to really get going, in particular on the road. So let's see, coming out of this timeout, where NC State can make some adjustments and hopefully hold on to the ball.
Yes, this is their first road game of the season. Cups out. They are not getting any offensive rebounds either. Quanco, the redshirt freshman, number 44 in white, coming up with the offensive, or the defensive board, excuse me, for BC. You see the 11-2 run.
And Conquo gives start. Boston College a little more size, girth down low when you're trying to bang against Canane. I'm sure that Coach Mack is going to have to really rely on a variety of players to slow down Elisa Canane. Pass here to the wing. And Jones, as always, moving so well without the basketball, gets fouled and will go to the free throw line.
Kayla Ivey, a true freshman from Forestville, Maryland, number 2 in white in, and did foul Kayla Jones. And my goodness, really coming on, getting better every single year, and now they're heavily relying on the senior.
I was happy to see her get the ACC Player of the Week recognition. Of course, she hit a big 3 against South Carolina late in that game. That was important in taking down the #1 team in the country, but there's so many really good players on this NC State squad that Jones often gets left out. But nice play there by Swartz for Boston College. She can do more than shoot the three. She hasn't shot the three well. They need her to, but more importantly, they just need her to be active on the offensive end.
Cameron just 19% from distance coming into this game, and she has missed her only shot from beyond the arc. BC going to have to rely heavily on their jump shooting today, and Cunane misfired over Quanco the first time, but not the second time.
And going to the basket. I'd like to see Elisa Cunane inviting the contact. She's such a good free throw shooter, so if she can take a hit, she's going to make her free throws.
Yeah, hardly ever misses, shooting 95% from the line. Another good board for Quanco. Missed all of last year with a hurt Achilles. Boston College with just 10 players on their roster. JoJo Lacey, who's been out with a hurt ankle, has dressed and is cleared to play. Inside, Cunane over Quanco, and you just talked about it. Get to the line, young lady, and she will do that.
Well, you can tell what the discussion was in the NC State timeout is get the ball to Elisa Cunane, and the Wolfpack is a team that is very disciplined in allowing their offense to really come along within the shot clock, and so they will wait for Cunane to get good position as she does there, and nice power-up, strong move for the make.
As the second foul on Quanco, as Cunane goes to the free throw line. Unable to get it. That's only her second miss of the season on her 21st free throw try. NC State, once down by 7, has cut the lead to 3. Nice cut to the basket.
Very nice cut by Bats. And that's something that Boston College is going to have to be willing to do in this game as well, is use the shot clock. They got
you can hear Wes Moore yelling for a foul there. Next women's basketball doubleheader is coming your way Thursday night right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app at 6 Eastern. Is Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, and then Syracuse in Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina. Again, it's either on the ACC Network or the ESPN app. Quanco gets her own miss, puts up the little hook, and that goes in.
And that's what you really want to see from a freshman at this time of year is effort. Not going to get everything right. You're still learning. Quanco coming off of a tough injury, did not get to really rehab the way you would want her to because of COVID. But I really like what I saw from her on that last play.
So many challenges as Ivy is called for that foul.
6'2" out of Alexandria, Virginia. Akuna Quanco. Good job there, just staying active, and you see the potential. She just hasn't had the experience, not quite in shape yet, but she's working her way into it. And by the way, Pam, I know someone from Alexandria, Virginia. You may not, but one LaChina Robinson. It's my hometown.
Who?
I had to throw that in there. I forgot. Listen, we had a player from Elon from Alexandria, Virginia, and I went back and watched the game. I was like, I didn't even say anything about my own hometown, so I'm not going to forget this time. Yeah, I'm not going to forget this time.
Reina Perez delivered at the free throw line, and there you are back in the day at Wake Forest.
Man. Terrible hair.
Baby China.
Baby China is right. With the wristband.
Wake Forest. And a foul on the drive by Swartz to the basket. And they get Jakia Brown-Turner.
Swartz looking to be aggressive and just too much contact. That might have been Demica on that foul.
It was.
The freshman in the game off of the bench for Wes Moore.
Yeah, my apologies. It was Demica, who's number 0, coming off the bench. She had started the last couple of games when Crutchfield was out with her injury. Shot clock now into single digits. Taylor Soule has been quiet for a while. Back rimmed it. Nice work by Bats on the board to keep it alive. And it results in another 3. Second one for Girard. Quick moving first quarter. BC with 4 threes. State has yet to hit from out there. Turner can't get it. Sewell with the rebound, and BC off to the races.
Boy.
Well, knocked away, but it stays with the Eagles.
Hasn't been a lot of crisp passing for Boston College. NC State is getting some tips and deflections, but they're playing through it. And that's what you've got to love if you're Coach Burnaby McNamee right now, is that your team is not playing perfect offense, but is finding ways to score the basketball.
8-point lead, biggest of the game for BC. They have 25 seconds to shoot.
Like there.
Swartz's 3 off the mark. Batts has been very active on the glass, and the Eagles hold on to it.
This is an important play for Boston College because they will have a chance here at the end of the first quarter now to steal some momentum as the shot clock is off. Oh, they're going to say it's NC State's ball. Okay. Was not the signal from the officials, but it'll be State that'll get an opportunity here to end the quarter.
Karen Prieto, Thomas Danaher, Rod Creech, our officials, and let's see what State does with the shot clock off. Whistle away from the ball. Cunane got tangled up a little bit with Soule. And from Taylor's expression, I would say the foul was on her.
Is that the guilty look?
That's the universal who me look.
Yeah.
I thought you perfected that in your career.
Well, you know, Pam, you do have to try to sway the officials. I've never seen a call changed, but you at least have to give it a try.
Well, Cunane back at the line where she missed her first free throw attempt.
That's only the first foul for Soule, but 2 fouls for Ivy off of the bench for Coach McNamee. And Clara Ford with 2 fouls as well in just this first quarter. Boy, that hurts their depth. They don't have a lot coming off of the Pine, so any foul trouble is not good for BC.
They need to take a shot. That's a double dribble.
Very good defense.
Tied up, yep.
Very good defense by NC State, denying the pass, not allowing the Eagles to get into any kind of offense here. Look at Perez fighting with Soule. You know they want to get her the ball, but nice denial.
Boston College doing it with a lot of threes for Coach Mack. Up 6 after 1. Time now for Food Lions Food for Thought, and some monitors being worn ultimately by every team in the ACC. Connexon monitors that are tracking the movements of the players because of the protocol adherence. Players wearing them around their torsos, and it beeps or flashes red, I should say, when they get to within 6 feet. They also can wear a wrist monitor like the assistant coach A.J. Cohen is there, and after practices and games, that data is collected and looked at to it will help for contact tracing and things like that in this age of COVID.
Yeah, it'll basically tell you if a player tests positive, it will tell you who they've been around for 15 minutes or more within 6 feet, and that's important because obviously, that's the CDC guideline in terms of enough time for exposure to COVID-19, and so to be able to track that and know who that player's been around can help so that you're not knocking out your entire team because one player may test positive, but you can actually track who may have been exposed.
And already so many games have been moved or postponed or canceled because of COVID. There were supposed to be 3 other ACC games today that will not be played. Louisville shut down for at least a week after they had someone in their program test positive. And that meant that Duke can't play today because they played Louisville in their last game. So the ripple effect being felt.
But nice job by the ACC to take the 2 teams that were okay to play in Miami and North Carolina and add that game to the ACC schedule to keep everyone in play. And a charge there taken by Taylor Soule on Lisa Cunane, and that is 2 fouls on Cunane. They triple teamed her on the last possession, and she had to pass it out. This time she is one-on-one with Soul. She's 6 inches taller than Soul. Bats comes over for a second, but she's working really hard for position there, and may have been a little frustration on that offensive foul.
So Canaan sits down with the 2 personal fouls. Elisa 3 of 5 from the floor in the first quarter. The rest of her team just 1 of 11. So she did the lion's share of the work, scoring 8 of their 14 points, and now she's on the bench. That steps being taken on the drive. Bats shuffled her feet. It's a 4th turnover for BC.
With Elisa Canaan on the bench, you wonder how that impacts NC State's offense and how they will get paint touches in order to open up the 3-point shot, which I think that's where they're strongest if she's not in the game.
Yeah, that is the pick your poison kind of thing. With when Cunane's out there, if you double her, that leaves the perimeter shooters open. And now Cunane out of the game. Camille Hobby, number 41 in red, has checked in for Elisa. NC State still looking to hit its first 3 of the game.
And that's what you don't want to do with Boston College. It's exchange 2s for 3s.
Hobby gets her first rebound of the game. Good pace to this game. Both teams pushing it. And there's a hold out on the perimeter. They're going to get bats for her first foul. We talk about the ACC. 3 teams in the top 25, 2 of them in the top 4, but Louisville again shut down for the next week. Undefeated teams. Knock Clemson out of there. How about Pitt with the upset on their home floor? Louisville just scorched DePaul, and NC State, the signature win against South Carolina 10 days ago. Their first over a #1 team in the country since '07.
Yeah, going back to that Clemson-Pitt game, Clemson without Delisha Washington in their lineup, and that is a big part of Amanda Butler's team. The transfer from Florida finally getting an opportunity this year. She's been fantastic, but Deshaunette Harris for Clemson is a player that you should know her name. Excuse me, for Pitt, you should know her name. She's an outstanding scorer, very explosive. Congratulations to Lance White's team getting an ACC victory.
For Pitt, they go to 1-1 in the league and 3-2 overall. Westmore can't be happy, LaChina. Again, he talked about the slow starts. 7 turnovers after that travel. Just trying to figure some things out with his star Cunane right now on the bench.
You're saying to yourself, this is where Boston College should really be kicking it into overdrive. Unfortunately, they have had just some messy offensive possessions like that one right there, where if you've got NC State on the ropes and they're struggling a little bit, you have to execute.
You know, we have gone almost 3 minutes into this quarter and nobody has scored. And NC State's defense that Westmore wants to get better. South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, and Elon, their last 3 opponents, none of them got to 28% from the floor. And finally, Kayla Jones gets State its first made 3 of the game.
Of course, who else but Kayla Jones on the drive from Reyna Perez, where she drew the defense beautifully for that wide open shot.
Well, and you're right, BC should be taking advantage of Cunane being on the bench, but instead they can't get a basket in the second quarter until right now with bats.
Keep in mind, this is a very young Boston College team. We mentioned their losses from last season. Emma Guy was huge for this team on the interior. Georgia Pinot, Taylor Ortlep, so some experience, and so that leaves some gaps. Like Clara Ford is having to play a bigger role. Bats is stepping up. Everyone's got to step in and do a little bit more.
Brown Turner can't get it. Kayla Jones, as always, very active. Got the rebound, and here's State's first 3 of the game.
Reyna Perez, beautiful drive. She's got about 5 Boston College Eagles around her, but doesn't matter. She finds Kayla Jones for the score, and that's who Westmore has been running his offense through since Cunane went to the bench, is the reigning ACC Player of the Week. She can pass it. She moves well without the basketball, makes good decisions, can score inside out. She is quite the player.
Coach Moore loves Kayla Jones, her great basketball IQ, and as you said, her versatility really has been special, especially with Crutchfield and Boyd when they were both out with injuries. Shot clock winding down. Crutchfield missed the three. Got men's college basketball coming your way on Tuesday on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 15, Virginia Tech hosting Clemson in Blacksburg at 6:30 Eastern. Follow that up with Georgia Tech in Tallahassee to take on Florida State. Again, all on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Boston College trying to get the ball inside. Good defense by Brown Turner to shut off the baseline, and another three that ticks off the rim. Boston College started out hot from distance, but they have cooled off considerably.
Yeah, you've got to really credit NC State. They've stepped up their defense in guarding Boston College off of the bounce. It's been hard for them to get a clean catch, to get a piece of the paint. Really, everything's been hard from Boston College since that moment. And here's another three for the Wolfpack.
That is Genesis Bryant, the true freshman, coming into the game and nailing it. And it's just a 2-point advantage now for BC. Boston College has scored only 2 points in this quarter. And now a chance for a 3-point play. Bats with the aggressive move to the bucket.
I'm impressed with Bats. I mean, at 6 foot, that is a beautiful drive right to the rack.
So close game, and three-pointer being buried by the freshman Genesis Bryant. State back in it. Back at BC, Taylor Soule is a terrific basketball player for Boston College, their leading scorer, but so far she has not scored, hasn't even taken a shot here in the second quarter. And LaChana Robinson, BC still up by 4. How did they get Taylor more touches?
Well, BC's got to run a more clean offensive set. I don't think they've worked hard enough to get her open. I mean, she's an incredible athlete, but against a team like NC State where they've got length across the board and can put 6-footers with Jakia Brown-Turner or 6'1" Kayla Jones and cover up her shots, they got to set screens for her. They got to get her in space. Everyone has got to stay active and keep the defense off of her. And then they've got to be more patient in their offensive sets and really get the best look every possession.
And they have not taken advantage of Cunane being on the bench with the 2 personal fouls. Kayla Jones for 3. That last free throw we saw from Boston College was their first attempt of the game. Bats missed it after hitting the 2-pointer before we went to break. BC is really cooled off here in the second quarter.
And see, that's the kind of possession where Swartz, I think, has taken the most shots on the team today. And she's very capable of knocking that down, but you've got to get some other players going, and then that's going to create an easier shot for her in that situation.
Now there's Taylor with the ball, shoots it and hits it. She's been working on extending her range. Her first shot of the second quarter goes in, her first points of the game. And Coach Joanna Burnaby-McAmey absolutely loves Taylor Soule. In fact, told us if she had a daughter, she would name her Taylor Soule. That's a pretty good compliment.
She did say that. And Pam, to your point, this is a new place on offense for Taylor Soule, right? Like, now you're playing against a great team like NC State, and you're testing out your perimeter skill and trying to do some things differently. And so I think it's going to take her a minute to also get comfortable in her new skill set on this team.
There's no doubt about her talent. Meanwhile, Kayla Jones continuing to do Kayla Jones things for the Pack. Just a very quiet game, the way she plays, but she's so effective in just about every facet.
Yeah, she's gotten better every year. She's gotten healthier. And you could tell that she's just owning her position on this team as a leader and understands her importance. She's a senior, so she has that experience and understands expectations. She's just really having an outstanding start to her senior campaign.
One and done. Here comes State. Crutchfield. Well short. Crutchfield again missing the last couple of games. Had an ankle injury and a calf that had been bothering her. Back in the lineup.
And is 0 for 5. It has taken her a moment to get back into the swing of things. I want to see if Boston College can get a good possession here. Really be patient. Work the ball around. Another contested shot.
Yep. And just Wolfpack jerseys to corral the Swartz miss. Taylor's Soul guarding Jones. Ellie Sutphin, number 20 in red, in the game for the Pack. That misses badly. Soul on the floor, a tie-up. Possession arrow goes to State.
You barely ever see Jones force a shot. I thought she could have been a little more patient on that one, but with the clock running down, and a hustle for that possession.
Remind you to watch the All-ACC coming up tomorrow at 8 Eastern Time. They take a look at the college football weekend that was and look towards the ACC championship game. Clemson and Notre Dame, numbers 3 and 2 respectively in the nation, coming your way 8 Eastern Time on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Very exciting for those two teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Pam Ward and LaChina Robinson joining you. Conte Forum is the scene of the action between BC and unbeaten and 4th-ranked NC State. And Boston College has seen their lead disappear with Cunane on the bench.
And guess who it is again? Kayla Jones.
KJ now with 10. And it is a 1-point ball game. Swartz from the outside, and that's much needed.
Do you see how different that offensive flow was? Inside out, the ball touches the paint, you kick it out. Swartz has enough time to get a shot up before the defense is contesting.
Ellie Sutphin misses wide left. BC on the run, 4-on-3 advantage.
Here he goes. Got to keep the ball moving.
That's Soul. Draws 3 players and then threw it away, trying to get it into Conquo. 6th turnover for the Eagles. And the ball goes over to BC with a minute to go in the half.
This is better offense for Boston College. You're on the left side of the floor. The ball touches the paint. You see how the defense collapses, and that's going to get Swartz a much better shot than she had been getting in the last few possessions.
Boston College, 5 of 12 from 3. That's 42%.
And keeping in mind with Ivy in foul trouble, she's actually a true point guard for Coach Mack, and she's been on the bench with those 2 fouls since the first quarter, so they haven't had her to really facilitate offense, and she's done a nice job of that this season. And there's Dickens. They got to get her looks from 3 as well.
Absolutely. Michaela hit a couple of threes early on in the first quarter. That's her first point since. And you see she's 3 of 5 from out there. So a nice little run by Boston College after State had gotten to within 1.
You see Kayla Jones has got her hands on her hips. She's exhausted. She has had to pick up the slack for Wes Moore's group with Cunane in that foul trouble.
And then right down the left side of the lane for a relatively easy bucket for Brown Turner. And Boston College led by 6 after 1, and they will take a 5-point lead into the locker room. Boston College relying on the long ball in the first half. NC State doing a lot of work without Elisa Cunane, down by 5 at the break. Welcome back to ACC Network Basketball, presented by Food Lion. For the first time this year, NC State is trailing at the half. BC up by 5. Pam Ward and LaChina Robinson with you. Boston College got off to a fast start.
They did, and it started with their ability to hit 3-point shots, which we knew they would have to have a chance to get NC State, and Dickens got it going. But I also like the depth of contribution. Bats came into the game and gave them some important minutes. Clara Ford was in trouble in that first half, but it was when they got good ball movement on the offensive end. Cameron Swartz hits that 3, but an inside-out pass for Joanna Burnaby McNamee's team. And then on the other end for NC State, Elisa Canane got into foul trouble, but it was really Kayla Jones once again stepping up, keeping them in the ball game. They need more from Brown Turner in this second half if the Wolfpack want to forge ahead and take over this lead.
Foul trouble limited Elisa Canane to only 11 minutes. She did score 8 points. And Kayla Jones has just been terrific. Dickinson's with a good contribution. But how about just 2 points for Taylor Soule, their leading scorer, averaging 17.5 per game, has only taken 5 shots. BC also not getting to the free throw line, but they lead it 32-27. And some very sad news in the women's basketball community. The Hall of Fame has announced today that former or longtime Hall of Fame board member and class of 2021 inductee Sue Donahoe passed away this morning after a brief illness with her family by her side. It was non-COVID related, and China, I know you know Sue, so very, very sad day.
A tremendous leader and pioneer in our game of women's basketball and in sport. I mean, she was a leader for a very long time at the NCAA, in particular in charge of women's basketball. On the K-Yow Cancer Fund board, was a leader there, was a coach. Just at every stop you could think of in our sport, Sue Donahoe had contributed in a mighty, mighty way, and was just a champion for women, a champion for women's sport, and in particular for the sport of women's basketball. We are all very saddened today by Sue's passing and send our thoughts and prayers to her family.
And a memorial service will be announced at a later date. Again, Sue Donahoe passing away earlier today. So Joanne Burnaby McNamee with her team in the huddle, and Wes Moore with his. And Wes Moore just recently celebrated his 40th wedding anniversary. And the team, he does not have any kids. That's his wife, Linda. The team calls her Mama Moore, and they all celebrated together with Wes Moore and his wife.
Oh,
but Wes Moore probably nothing to celebrate right now, LaChina. I bet he's not a very happy camper.
No, not at all. I mean, he has talked about the slow starts for his team all season, and then you go on the road in the ACC, a hungry Boston College squad that was disappointed in their performance at Georgia Tech, and they're going to come out firing here in the third quarter. And, when we talked to Coach Mack, Michaela Dickens was the player that she said she could really see stepping up to accompany everything we get from Taylor Soule and really become that sidekick. But Soule has had such a slow afternoon. Hopefully Boston College can get her going as well.
Yeah, Dickens, how about her today? She's got 12 points, 4 of 6 from beyond the three-point line. Taylor Soule only taking 5 shots in the first half. Schwartz took 11 shots in the first half. That was a third of all of the shots for the Eagles. NC State shot only 30% from the floor, 25% from 3. And BC with Gerard getting on the score sheet again.
And
it's
that's
a 10-point lead.
That's really where Marnell Gerard can have an impact. I mean, she hits some shots, which is good to see because she'll need to hit some threes. But defensively, she can be such a game changer with her quickness and ball pressure.
Now look what we just saw from Canane, that little baby hook that Wes Moore really wants her to, I think, take and shoot a lot more often. We saw her hit one in the last game against Elon, and she nailed one here.
Soule's got the ball here, and she's got to look to be aggressive. I thought she passed up a couple of opportunities in that first half, and she gets fouled here on the jump shot.
Down on Kai Crutchfield, who did make the start today after missing the last couple of games. Kai missed all 5 of her shots in the first half, but Taylor Soule getting to the line.
Something she does very well. She's already made 35 trips to the free throw line this season, one of the best marks in the ACC, and shoots it at 83%. She missed that one, but she is usually money from the charity stripe.
You see, she's a New England kid from West Lebanon, New Hampshire. Gets to the line on average 7 times per game, which is one of the highest averages in the entire country. Her first trip to the line this afternoon, and BC's only taken 3 free throws overall. Canane passing it up to Brown Turner, and she just put her head down and bowled right into Conquo.
Conquo's given some good minutes. I believe Clara Ford picked up her third foul at the very beginning of this third quarter, so she had to go to the bench. And what happens? Conquo comes in, has to fill in, does a nice job helping on the drive there.
Absolutely right. Ford did pick up her third, so she's on the bench. Conquo getting some good minutes. Redshirt freshman missed all of last year after tearing her Achilles. Good board by Soul to keep things going. Girard does it again.
Marnell Girard looks like a different player from the three-point line today. She came in 6 of 22, only shooting 27% from there. She has got to get her confidence up, and that will open up the offense even more for Seoul.
Oh boy, Cunane did everything right there except finish as she tried to lay it in with her left hand after a nice move. And the floater for Dickens, Michaela Dickens. What a game she is having, and it's a 14-point advantage. NC State with a chance to shoot free throws with Brown Turner, but they started the first quarter slowly, and they start the third quarter the same way.
One thing Wes Moore's been challenging his team to do better all season is guard off of the drive. And nice fake here, stutter step by Dickens, gets past Kai Crutchfield, who again is making her return today, but not sure about her mobility as she's nursing a couple of injuries. And Boston College has come out in this third quarter looking sharp.
And being very aggressive. Jakia Brown Turner from Oxon Hill, Maryland, outside of Washington. Goes 1 of 2 from the line. NC State scoring just 30 points so far in this game. They've been averaging 86 per game. Boston College coming off that pasting at the hands of Georgia Tech, looking like a different team this afternoon. Soul with the shot clock winding down, goes baseline and then lost it out of bounds. 7 turnovers now for BC. Trying to snap a 7-game losing streak to NC State. They fell to them in the semifinals of the ACC tournament last year. Reina Perez gets the bucket. Perez had been very quiet offensively in the first half.
Nice horn set for NC State there on offense, and Perez just comes off of that high ball screen by Cunane. And because the reason why horns is often so effective as an offensive set is you pull your offense above the free throw line, so there is no help on the backside. And Perez takes advantage of it.
Conquo called for the foul, and Perez misses at the line. A big find for them. She was the Big West Player of the Year last year at Cal State Fullerton, and now playing as a grad transfer for Wes Moore, who lost Ace Koenig, the Canadian who was so important to that team. Lost her to graduation, and Perez has stepped right in.
This is a small lineup in for NC State right now. Excuse me, a small lineup in for Boston College with Batts playing on the interior with Taylor Soul. Beautiful pass.
Whoa, I don't even know how she found her. That was terrific. Batts with the assist to Soul. Taylor now with 5 points, the lead back to 13. Whistle away from the ball. ACC women's basketball coming your way on Thursday with a doubleheader on the ACC Network and the ESPN app as Notre Dame hosts Virginia Tech at 6 Eastern, and then follow that with Syracuse and Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina, the best in women's college basketball right here on the ACC Network. Last foul was on Taylor Soul, her second. You want to see a nice pass?
Jalen Batts right here, whining and dining on Elisa Cunane. I don't know how she found Soul either. I'm with you, Pam. That was a tough find, but a really good pass.
And now she gets the rebound and an outlet pass. Good job by State to cut down, but nobody accounts for Swartz, who misses, gets her own rebound, follows, and a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
Just effort. Boston College is working hard to find shots on the offensive end, and when they don't go in, it's the rebound, the second effort by Swartz.
Boy, and that's a lot to rebounding, too. The effort. Third foul on Brown Turner as well. BC up 15.
Welcome back, where Boston College has a 15-point lead on the number 4 team in the country, the NC State Wolfpack. And as you can see, Westmore is not happy with the effort of his team to start this third quarter. Boston College has been aggressive on the offensive end. They found a little bit more flow. Coach Joanna Burnaby-McNamee, ACC Coach of the Year last season, took her BC Eagles to the semifinals of the ACC tournament, where they were beat by NC State. I'm sure they remember that as well, Pam. You don't forget those losses coming into this one.
Yeah, the 20 wins for them. They finished with 11 wins in the ACC, which is a new program record. They were picked to finish 13th, ended up tied for 4th. So some great things. And speaking of great, I would call Kayla Jones's number when you want something happening, when you're struggling a little bit. But boy, what a game so far for the Eagles, taking on NC State. And Coach Westmore told us that he was concerned about this matchup, and rightly so.
I know, I thought they had a 15-point lead, and then we came back and they had 48 points. Was there a point added to Boston College? I thought that was 32-47 a moment ago.
Well, Swartz hit a free throw coming back to complete the three-point play after the timeout.
Well,
thanks for paying attention.
You're paying
Kayla
attention.
Jones gets fouled. I really like her game, Kayla Jones.
Man, she's a gamer, and she's a momentum changer. You know, you can put her anywhere on the floor, and she's going to be a difference maker. We watched her bring the ball up the floor in transition. Right here, she's found some space on the baseline, which you often will when Boston College is in the zone. And she's so tough, so big, so strong. Right here on the drive, she gets the finish, but she just puts herself in position to take good shots. You know, she just understands the ball, the game, the high basketball IQ. I mean, when you look at the list of players for NC State, she's not going to jump off of the stat sheet until the end of the night, when you realize that she's got rebounds, she's got assists, she barely turned it over, played defense, and finished plays.
Had a great game against South Carolina in that upset. 16 points and 12 boards, her first career double-double. Jones delivers at the line. That was the third foul, by the way, on Bats for BC. Up a dozen.
Boston College running through their motion. Little trapping action here by NC State.
And it forces the turnover. 8th giveaway for BC, but they take it right back. And it's Taylor Soule coast to coast.
And that's something that Boston College has been very solid at to start this year, is forcing turnovers, getting steals. That is part of their identity.
Kunay, nice roll of the bucket, but she missed it. We've seen Elisa miss a couple of shots she usually makes, but has a chance at the free throw line. BC up, Taylor Soule getting them out in transition.
Yeah, we came into this game talking about Taylor Soule. She's been rather quiet, but makes a big play here. Meanwhile, her teammates are stepping up, and Boston College looks confident. Welcome back to Boston College, where the Eagles, 14-point lead over the number 4 team in the country. You are looking at Jada Boyd, who is a very important part to Wes Moore's lineup, both on the offensive and defensive end. Was starting for NC State this season, but suffered a meniscus injury. She'll be out for a couple of weeks, but that has changed the look of the lineup for NC State. They've had to go smaller. They were much bigger and a little bit more athletic in their starting lineup. And Boyd is a player that just really does a lot of the dirty work, and great rebounder, will get you extra possessions, and this is the kind of night that they miss her. Now, I was very shocked that NC State pulled off the win against South Carolina without her, because I thought she would be so important against the Gamecocks, but a game like tonight, it really shows.
Yeah, she's missing her 3rd straight game. NC State unbeaten on the season, but really struggling against Boston College. BC has hit 8 threes. And then another nice play by Gerard.
Yeah, Gerard attacked the hedge. If NC State is going to send a big at you, then Girard has the quicks to really beat them and get to the rim. And right here, Jakia Brown-Turner trying to make something happen. And did she get the offensive foul call? She did. So Taylor Soule draws the offensive foul. Brown-Turner, and that's a really good call. I thought Soule got there, got established defensively, shoulder square to the ball handler, and Brown-Turner just ran her over.
And that is the 4th personal foul on Brown-Turner, who has 5 points on 2 of 9 shooting this afternoon. Taylor Soule, good help by Cunane to cut off the baseline.
It took Brown-Turner a while to get going versus Elon. She seems to be thinking so much on offense.
Nice dish for the lay-in by Quanco.
And NC State tried to trap there, but Jakia Brown-Turner was unable to contain the dribble of Dickens, who just beats her to the rack. And speaking of beat to the rack, Perez gets there and gets a score.
And Reina Perez, relatively quiet, running the point this year. Now 6 points this afternoon. BC up by 14.
Brown-Turner is helping tremendously in her defense on Taylor Soule. So that's been an important part of what she has contributed today, despite maybe not having a ton of points on the stat sheet.
That was a good defensive stand by NC State. Into Cunane, who got hit by Soule.
I want to go back to that score for Boston College. Here's the trap for NC State. They beat it, and Dickens gets the nice pass to Conquo, but Jakia Brown-Turner got switched on to Dickens because of the trapping action of NC State, and it just has not really helped them much at all because they can't contain the dribble.
So Lisa Cunane, who does a good job getting to the line and hitting her free throws, and a big development because Taylor Soule just picked up her 3rd personal foul. BC getting into some foul trouble now. And Soule is their best player. And right now she is on the bench with the 3 personal fouls. Swartz, who is not shy at all about putting it up from out there, misses. And then a foul. Looks like Dickens went over the back. Taylor Soule on the bench for Boston College. Taylor this afternoon just 7 points, does have 5 rebounds and a couple of assists, but most importantly, she can't help him on the bench.
You see her shouting out instructions to her team. She is this team's captain, and Coach McNamee, mentioned to us that they had a vote for a captain and that everyone on the team put Taylor Soule down. Some people didn't put anyone else but her, so she is by far their leader, their voice. She also helps the coaching staff, just makes them feel confident about what they're doing and is an extension of them. So let's see how Boston College responds as she is on the bench for the moment.
Those 2 free throws made by Crutchfield, her first points of the afternoon. Kai back after missing a couple of games with injury. 0 for 6 from the floor. 10-point advantage. Dickens a little bit too strong, and Cunane was being held by Ford, and that's going to be 4 on Ford.
Yeah, maybe after Cunane had secured that rebound. See, that's where Ford's got to be smarter. Let that one go. You didn't get the rebound. You don't need to poke after. You're too important for this team. And she has had an uptick in her minutes this season, starting now for Boston College. And she's an important part of what they're doing, especially when you're playing against Elisa Cunane. You need to have some players on the floor that can take her on. And now they have to go deeper in their bench.
Cunane missing another free throw. She's missed a couple this afternoon. And we have seen JoJo Lacey, number 4 for Boston College, in. This is her first collegiate action. Had missed the first 5 games with a hurt ankle. So she is now in with all of the foul trouble. Coach Burnaby Maccabee thinks she's going to be a really good player, but just working her way in. Meanwhile, NC State forcing turnovers.
Yeah, State's starting to be more disruptive with their defense. They've tried some different things, some trapping, a lot of pressure, ball denial, not allowing Boston College to even get into their offense. If they can continue that and keep Boston College out of a rhythm, that'll be important here down the stretch.
Gerard with the ball in her hands gets it over to Dickens, who dribbled right into a double team.
Dickens can't
now
get
Swartz
any
is going to
space.
shoot and score. That is a big three for Cameron Swartz. BC relying on the three this afternoon. Kelsey Riggs and E.J. Manuel host In Play Tuesday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern following our ACC college basketball doubleheader. They'll talk about the conference's hottest topics right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. That's Tuesday following men's basketball.
Really love a little In Play. Kelsey Riggs, E.J., giving the student athletes a spotlight. So important to give them some time and to invite them into the conversation of all things that are happening, especially at an important time like this. I really love that show.
Yeah, good job by them and a good job by Quanco on that offensive board to keep it with BC and then fire away from the outside. Dickens. Tenth three made by BC, and Dickens, appropriate at Christmas time. It should be hot around now. She has really shouldered a lot of the load with Taylor Soule in foul trouble now and having a subpar game, at least points-wise. It's a 15-point advantage again.
Well, as NC State has looked to swarm defensively, sometimes Boston College has been troubled by it, but that time they move the ball out of it and get a big three-pointer.
Cunane, nice work, puts it up with her offhand. Lisa Cunane and NC State, as you see, just a slight difference between the two clocks. Boston College obviously would love to kill as much of it as possible and not give State much time at the end of it. And a travel for the freshman Lacey. So the turnover gives State just under 9 seconds.
That's a tough shot for Lacey. She's only been in the game for a couple of minutes. Clock's winding down. She's got to make a play. That's a tough position for her to be in.
Crutchfield passes it up. Kayla Jones floats it. And NC State, the ACC champs, unbeaten, but they are down 13. Dickens from distance, the Eagles with the lead.
Coach Burnaby Maccabee said they would have to hit 11 three-pointers, 10 or 11, to take down NC State today. Well, they've got 10, and Michaela Dickens has been lights out and confident from long range today. She has 5 three-pointers, 5 for 8 from long range. And then how about the afternoon for Marnell Gerard? She has just been active with her defense, really getting a piece of the paint and creating opportunities for Boston College on the offensive end. She has 3 three-pointers, 3 for 6 from long range after struggling from behind the arc coming into this one. So the backcourt for BC in a rather quiet night for Soule has added up to a lead over the number 4 team in the country.
And Taylor Soule, their star, just 7 points. It's about 11 points under her average, back out there playing with 3 personal fouls, and it's been almost 6 years since Boston College has beaten a ranked team on their home floor. And they have a 13-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. Pam Ward and LaChina Robinson joining you on this Sunday afternoon. Taylor Soule with the ball in her hands. Left it short. Lisa Cunane getting the ball. Really working with that left hand a lot this afternoon, but Quanco, the redshirt freshman, was D'ing her up.
Yeah, and NC State has been intentional about going to Cunane since coming back into the game in the third quarter. And she's had some good looks, but then also there's been some possessions where, like there, Boston College is just present and physical enough to cause the miss.
Soul kept it alive. Boston College coming up off their first loss of the season to Georgia Tech. And they've only trailed once in this game, and that's when it was 2-0 NC State. A three, just a little bit too strong. Conquo got outworked by Cunane on the rebound.
Good job containing the dribble there by Boston College. Brown Turner was probing, looking for an opportunity to get to the rim, but Cameron Swartz, nice defense.
Lisa Cunane went airborne on this.
See the probe there by Brown Turner. The push there as Cunane is working very hard to get position.
That was Dickens with the shove from behind. Cunane passing out. Kayla Jones. And the three ball has not been kind to NC State this afternoon. They've hit only 3 of 16. That's 19% for State from distance. Cunane, there you go. Cunane with the block on the Gerard try, but BC holds on to it.
Gerard looking to take it to the rim, and guess who's there? 6'5", Elisa Cunane, sending it back.
Cunane averaging about a block and a half per game for the Pack. Another three buried. It's a Dickensian kind of afternoon.
Oh boy, when Dickens starts feeling it, she can shoot as well as anybody in the country from long range.
And then the turnover on the other end, the Eagles just swarming as they're nursing a 16-point lead. A lot of people going to be interested when they see this score, at least what it is right now, to see that NC State is trailing so big to Boston College. But boy, Michaela Dickens coming to play today.
Yeah, I mean, you see the elevator screen right there with Swartz and Soul. That's just enough space for Dickens to get a catch and get it up. She's got a quick release, and she's very confident right now what she can do from out there. And Coach Burnaby McNamee gives her team the green light when it comes to that three-point shot because it's so important to their offense.
20 points for Dickens is a new season high, 6 off her career high. Swartz forcing that shot. Now Perez. Difficult try underneath the basket for Bryant. And Cunane with the smile, but that's a smile of frustration for Elisa.
Yeah, very frustrating afternoon. And you mentioned Perez. I mean, she has been a non-factor today as she has had so much success in an NC State uniform, in particular in their win over South Carolina. She's just been solid stepping into the lineup, a player that can score it, that can also dish it. And she has 1 assist in this game.
One of the best assist to turnover ratios in the entire nation coming into this game. Had 24 assists, just 3 turnovers. In fact, had more steals than turnovers on the year. Dickens with the miss, rebound batted around into Brown Turner's hands.
Yeah, you may not want to help off of Michaela Dickens at this point in the game.
No. Perez, nothing doing. Cunane with the one-handed rebound. She was fouled and ends up on the deck again. And that's going to be the 5th foul on Bats.
Lisa Cunane is fighting with everything she has on the interior. Boston College has been very physical with her. Boy, she got that rebound out of position and then had the wherewithal to actually get it up for a shot at the basket.
So Jalen Batts has fouled out for Boston College. We have a couple of other players in foul trouble.
Lisa Cunane came back into the game after that foul trouble in the 3rd quarter, had 9 points, 4 rebounds. They're continuing to go to her here, but it's just the rest of this NC State team has to continue to stay active, and there's Jones. And State's going to pick up with some pressure here.
Off the inbounds, Jones able to score, and Coach Burnaby McNamee going to talk about that pressure with BC up by 14. Some coaches very close to an historic milestone. This is the ACC on ACC Network, brought to you by Food Lion. Pat Summitt has the most wins of any head coach in women's college basketball, but tonight Tara Vanderveer can tie that with Stanford playing on the road at Cal. And Gino Auriemma not far behind with 1,092 wins after their big win over UMass Lowell last night. But Tara Vanderveer poised to become the winningest coach in the history of women's college basketball. Could tie it tonight against Cal and then break it against Pacific, I believe, on Tuesday. And ESPN has picked up that game. Our ESPN family of networks will show that historic game, possibly, against Pacific.
And Tara Vanderveer, what a coach, what a contributor to the sport of women's basketball. I mean, what she's done at Stanford in terms of just setting the expectation, the bar for every program in this country of excellence and how you get it done. Just, it's amazing when you look at the careers of Pat Summitt and Tara Vanderveer and Gino Auriemma, all those coaches right there around that mark. I mean, that's a lot of basketball, Pam, and a lot of winning.
Wins, man. It's over 3,000, well over 3,000 wins between the three of them. And again, Stanford plays at Cal, who was coached by Sharman Smith, who played at Stanford and went to several Final Fours in the 90s with Coach Vanderveer.
Oh, yeah, that coaching tree for Tara Vanderveer is years long. And you could say the same about Pat Summitt and Gino Auriemma, all the ways they've contributed to the game, even beyond players leaving. They've put some pretty good coaches out there.
Yeah, they've done some things. Meanwhile, NC State trying to get back in this game. Jakia Brown-Turner with a chance at a three-point play after Taylor Soule just picked up her fourth. So 4 fouls on their star. Jalen Batts has already fouled out for BC. So Kayla Ivey in for Soule. Taylor Soule with, just 7 points today. Sorry, LaChina.
No, my fault, Pam. Managing foul trouble is going to be very important for Boston College in this last 6 minutes of the game. I'm sure Coach Mack is figuring out what she can do, because you have Elisa Kanane on the interior, and most of your foul trouble is with your post player. So how can you contain her but also keep everyone eligible and in the game to play? Ford better be careful here.
Well, the ball just absolutely bouncing and batting off of pretty much everybody before NC State comes up with the basketball. Brown-Turner thought about it and left it short, but the offensive rebound by Crutchfield, who got fouled.
A couple things stand out to me about the way that Boston College has played this game. Number one is how well they've done on the glass. You know, this entire season, I feel like when you've lost Emma Guy, you've lost Georgia Pinot, and you're usually undersized. They've done a nice job there, and also points in the paint. I would think that NC State would have a lot more points in the paint than Boston College, but both teams right around 22, according to my numbers. And so they've limited those easy opportunities on the inside for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, that was one of the concerns for BC coming in, being relatively undersized. And you're right, Emma Guy was such a great player for BC. 6'3" center, averaged 13.5 points, 6.5 rebounds last year. Boy, Elisa Kanane coming into this game had hit 19 of 20 free throws on the season. And she's
shooting 31%. They're shooting 31% as a team, 17% from the three-point line.
So more foul trouble for Boston College. Gerard with 4, Dickens with 4, Soule with 4. And we mentioned that Batts has already fouled out. So yes, Coach Mack has to manage this. And the mounting pressure from NC State. Kayla Ivey, number 2, the true freshman point guard, unable to corral the ball. Cunane just working.
Boy. Between Jones and Cunane. That's what's going right today for NC State.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, nervous time for BC.
Got to get it over. Got to get it over half court.
And they do not. Crutchfield leading the way along with Jones on that trap.
Tough position for a freshman and Ivy to be in the backcourt against this NC State pressure. Good job by Crutchfield and Jones, two seniors, to get that turnover. Plenty of time here for NC State. They've got to start getting some good offensive possessions, taking care of the ball, and really guarding the three-point line on the other end.
And finding Cunane on the offensive end, always a good option. Elisa gets fouled again. State in the bonus, shooting free throws, and we come back. The Wolfpack clawing. Okay. Lisa has 22, holy smokes. Welcome back. Boston College clinging to a 65-57 lead. Lisa Cunane just hit 2 free throws. Taylor Soule back in the game, and she's fouled by Swartz. So Coach McNamee figured she couldn't wait any longer and had to get her junior leader back out there.
Yeah, and Boston College did a better job on that possession of breaking the press. They did not handle NC State's pressure well. At that time, made good passes, got the ball at the floor, and on the pass out, Gerard beautifully run on the break, but couldn't get it to go for Dickens.
Wow, Dickens had to roll all the way around. Cunane able to corral it. Kayla Jones, just so nice. She gets the roll. And
she's on the top.
For Kayla Jones, is a new career high in scoring.
She's at the top of this press for NC State.
Boston College is led by as many as 16 points. That was earlier in this quarter.
It's a 4-guard lineup for Boston College for a number of reasons. Number one, the pressure of NC State. Also, the foul trouble on the front line for the BC Eagles has started to mount.
And now Cunane with another rebound as we approach 3.5 minutes left to go. NC State has halved that 16-point lead.
Boy, Jakia Brown-Turner could not get that one to go. A nice job of hustling to contest that shot by Boston College. That wasn't an easy finish for her.
Three-pointer, no good. Swartz crashes in. BC starting to cool off. Offensively, while NC State continues to attack. Kayla Jones. And it's only a 6-point lead on another steal. BC in trouble as Jones is called for the charge.
The Wolfpack press has changed the momentum in this game. You see Boston College is winded, but what a job by Dickens to rotate back and take that charge. And Kayla Jones is exhausted, and for good reason. She's been playing the front of the press. Thought there may have been a foul there. But Jones on her way to the rim until Dickens gets her feet set outside of the restricted area, and it's going the other way.
Well, that was still very chancy for Dickens because she is playing with 4 personal fouls. It is a 12-2 NC State run.
And you wonder if Jones had dropped that off at the rim instead of trying to take it in. It was a 2-on-1 break. Might have gotten an easy look there.
I want to remind you, Tuesday, that we'll have 2 more men's college basketball games right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 15, Virginia Tech welcomes in Clemson at 6:30 Eastern. And then Georgia Tech goes down to Tallahassee to play Florida State. Florida State at 8:30 Eastern time. That's men's basketball coming your way on Tuesday. Boy, what a game this has been. It had been a 16-point advantage for BC earlier in this quarter. And now it's just a 6-point lead.
4 turnovers for Boston College in the last 3 minutes and 21 seconds. BC 1 of 7. And what's kind of started to happen is NC State is speeding up this game with this pressure, and Boston College is playing into their hands. They're playing fast. They've got the lead. You know, they've got time here. Ooh, and they may be going back to look at that Let's see, the officials were looking at something on that last play.
Well, what a blow this is for Boston College. Originally, we saw the call for the charge, but now Dickens has been called for the blocking foul, and that has fouled her out. Michaela Dickens with 20 points this afternoon, and she goes to the bench. Batts is already fouled out as well for BC, so that's a huge turnaround. And then BC couldn't hang on to the rebound. Boston College trying to hang on. JoJo Lacey, the freshman, comes in for Taylor Soule, who is playing with 4 fouls. An offensive-defensive substitution. All the way across court. Crutchfield to Jones, and she buries the 3.
We have heard this story all before with Kayla Jones and how she makes big shots when NC State needs them. Did it against #1 South Carolina.
Kayla Jones with a new career high in scoring, and NC State is only down 1. They have trimmed 15 points off this lead in 4 minutes.
And a lot of that has happened because of their pressure. They've gotten turnovers, they've turned up the momentum, the pace of this game. And Boston College is looking for answers.
Shot clock into single digits. Soule has to shoot. And now Lisa Cunane and NC State can take the lead for the first time since it was 2-0. What a comeback by the Pack. Cunane rolls off the rim. A high percentage shot, but the possession arrow will keep it with the Wolfpack.
Cunane's got to be exhausted. I mean, NC State has really relied on her on every possession, and you see how many fouls she's taken? 3 out of 4 of those players for Boston College that are either got 4 fouls or fouled out playing the post against Cunane, and they have been bodying her up and been physical this entire time.
Now another whistle.
There's been a lot of foul calls in this game, and obviously the one that fouled out Dickens was extremely important, and without knowing exactly what the officials may have been looking at, you can review a restricted area play in the last 2 minutes, but we were not within the 2-minute mark in this game, so I'm not very unsure of what happened there when they went to the monitor.
Lacey's foul sends Brown Turner to the line, and we are tied. NC State leads for the first time since it was indeed 2-0, coming all the way back from 16 down thanks to a 19-2 run. And the pressure continues to really hound the Eagles.
Really hurts you without Dickens in a situation like this. Without her on the floor, you're missing one of your most experienced ball handlers. You're having to play against pressure, and this press has completely changed this game. Boston College not handling it well. You got to come back to the ball. And I thought Soule got fouled there.
Yeah, Perez easily could have been called for the foul, and Soule goes to the bench again. As whenever BC goes on defense, she is subbed out, playing with the 4 fouls. Brown Turner all the way in.
Boy, Boston College has simply run out of bodies, already shorthanded on their roster, in foul trouble. Now without Dickens. The whistle has not been kind to the Eagles.
ACC Network Women's Basketball is presented by Food Lion. This is our home. That's our Food Lion. So NC State on a 13-0 run. Boston College hasn't scored in almost 4 minutes. 16-point deficit has turned into a 3-point lead for State.
And NC State really looking to attack after they're forcing turnovers out of their press. They've just been in attack mode, and they know that Boston College is in foul trouble. So what do? You put the ball on the deck and you look to get to the rim.
NC State, 22 of 28 from the free throw line. BC only 4 points from the line, but they have seen their 16-point lead. And they were leading by 16 points with 6 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in this quarter. So that's a 19-point turnaround in about 5 minutes. Boston College saddled with foul trouble. And now, as LaChina mentioned, boy, this press really has gotten to them, forcing them into turnovers. They've gone cold from the floor. It's a 21-2 run in that 5-minute plus period that we just discussed, in which the lead went from 16 to -3 for BC. But still time left, 51 seconds left, still just a one-possession game. Soule working against Jones, sets the screen. And the roll of the basket, and the ball just did not get through.
That would have been a tough pass to make for Gerard through Elisa Canane. And you see where this is going. I mean, all the momentum for NC State. Gerard just tries to make a pass here.
And Ford could not handle it. And now NC State in the driver's seat. In the bonus, Perez at the line.
I want to go back, Pam. You know, that was a big foul call to foul out Dickens. And here's what I'll say. I thought the call on the floor was a charge. So to me, that's a reverse. You can't review a restricted area play until under 2 minutes. And so, yes, I understand that her foot was on the RA. And if you call that on the floor as a block, then I get it. But from what we understand, the call on the floor was a charge.
Yeah.
So I'm unsure, without communication with the officials, what exactly happened on that play.
And it was a big turnaround. Let's go back to it. Dickens has played so well.
Yeah, she had that left foot.
And
on
that's
the
a
RA.
clear charge call by the official. Aaron Prieto over there clearly calling the charge, and then again, not being on site, we don't have communication with the scorer's table, but that call went from what was initially a clear charge call to a block that not only gave the ball to NC State, but fouled out Dickens.
And again, I mean, yes, you could call that a block if you do in the moment, but again, we both saw the signal for the charge.
And that was the confusing thing, is we saw that clear, and everyone at home just saw it because it was clearly in the camera shot. Brown Turner called for the foul, and she has fouled out. Shakia Brown Turner going out with 12 points, but only made 4 of her 10 shots this afternoon. Did have 7 rebounds. And NC State just charging back here in the fourth quarter. Boston College has scored only 7 points in this quarter. It's a 15-0 run for State. And another whistle and another foul. Both teams in the bonus. Not what Westmore wanted there. To put them on the line, stop the clock.
And still plenty of time for Boston College. I mean, they're a team that have turned teams over all season long with their pressure, but they're just in foul trouble. It's hard to pressure a team. It's hard to really play the way you want to defensively when you're shorthanded. and want to be aggressive but can't. But plenty of time left, especially for a team that can shoot the three.
Well, that gets them both. Now back down to 3 points. NC State has taken a timeout with just under 25 seconds left to go. So shot clock is off.
They're going to take a timeout, advance the ball here, figure out how they can get it, make sure that they can get the ball in bounds. And that's the most important thing is to get it in. I expect Boston College to really look to deny, and NC State hasn't shot free throws extremely well today.
Last 5.5 minutes, Boston College has turned the ball over 5 times. Points off turnovers. Now even at 16 apiece, but NC State just feasting off of that once they put the pressure on in the fourth quarter. Boston College with a lot of inexperienced players. Taylor Soule is just 9 points on the afternoon, has been defended well, been playing with foul trouble. And they need a stop. And right away the foul after the ball got inbounded. 4 now on Gerard. And that sends Reina Perez back to the free throw line, where she is 4 of 5 this afternoon. Huge.
Down the stretch of this game, they actually have shot free throws better as the game has gone on. Canaan has struggled more than we're used to seeing, but the Wolfpack have picked those numbers up a little bit, shooting 80%.
And Boston College now takes the timeout. They have been outscored 27-9 in this quarter, and they have not hit a field goal in almost 4.5 minutes. NC State trying to close this out with China.
Yeah, I mean, it really was coming out of the timeout. The Wolfpack put on that pressure defense, and Boston College really just hasn't had an answer. And on top of the fouls for Boston College, which have caused them to play a little bit more on their heels, you know, NC State has just been more in attack mode. And you have to give Jones a lot of credit. She has been outstanding once again. It seems like every time NC State is in trouble, Kayla Jones answers the call. She's on the front of the press. She's knocked down shots on a night where NC State just has not looked like themselves on the offensive end. But talking about picking it up right in time, the Wolfpack have done that. And they've been the aggressor, gotten to the free throw line. And Boston College, as this game has gone on, has just played on their heels. And Jones with, wow, 25 points. What a senior campaign so far for her.
A new career high, 25 points. Her old career high was just 17. Soule, wide right. Cunane gets the rebound. Ford ends up on the court.
And again, without who has been your hot three-point shooter in Dickens on the court, you're made up have more options down the stretch than Soule having to take a contested jump shot. She is not really a three-point shooter.
And now the third Eagle to foul out. Clara Ford picked up a couple of early ones, and she was not the factor that BC hoped she would be. In fact, Ford only took 1 shot and did not score. And you can see the frustration on her face. This is the one that got away. Up 16 in the fourth quarter, but NC State putting on the pressure. Boston College went cold. These two teams will meet again right after the new year in Raleigh, but what a comeback for NC State and a heartbreaking loss for Boston College.
Boy, they had it in the bag, did Boston College, and put on a great performance. You see the relief from the Wolfpack and Kayla Jones. I mean, they just stepped it up right at the right time. I mean, they were really in trouble behind some hot three-point shooting from Boston College, but it was the defense of NC State and their full court pressure that turned this game around.
So NC State down 16 in the fourth quarter, down 16 with 6 minutes plus to go, end up winning it 75-69, a new career high 25 for Kayla Jones. Canadian with 23 points and 15 rebounds, second straight double-double for Elisa. For LaChina Robinson and our entire production crew, I'm Pam Ward as we say so long. NC State with a huge fourth quarter, they take it.